Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another segment of Hollywood Memories. I'm Dan Roberts, the publisher of The Vegas Voice, and my great job is to co-host with my favorite columnist, Beverly Washburn. Beverly still likes me because I'm back, and very thankfully, we have, again, a very special guest, and I'm going to let you introduce her because it did wonders last time. You go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you, Dan, and thanks to all of you for watching. And for the record, all of his columnists are his favorite. But thank you for saying
There
that.
you go.
And I'm very proud to be among them. And you have some new columnists, which is very exciting.
Right off the street. We just found them, they rolled in, and that was it. But we have a very, very special guest.
We do, and I'm excited. For those of you who have been watching us, I hope, you saw that a couple weeks ago we did a little segment with my dear friend Cynthia Pepper, who worked with Elvis Presley in Kissin' Cousins. And she has so many stories to tell, and we couldn't fit it all in. So Dan and I invited her back because we know that you would love to hear more. So let me introduce you, and thank you so much, Cindy, for being here. My dear friend, Cynthia Pepper.
Thank you so much, Beverly.
And I thank you for putting up with me one more time. But
well, we'll see.
We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes.
Cynthia, I want to start way in the beginning. Let's talk about your dad.
Oh, my dad.
And because there's stories there that are good for at least 2-3 hours. But go ahead, start with your dad, Jack.
I've told you and other people, I was born in a trunk, let's say.
Yes.
And my dad was in show business. He was a singer and in vaudeville. And my mother was a dancer with Ziegfeld, so in show business. My dad's first wife was Ginger Rogers.
The Ginger Rogers.
The Ginger Rogers.
Yeah.
She was a champion Charleston dancer in Texas. And my dad's from Texas, so I say daddy. I always say that. And he married her, I think she was 18, and he was about 3 or 4 years older. It didn't last very long, but they parted good friends, I guess. And I saw her years later when I was doing my pilot, Margie, at 20th Century Fox. And I went down to the wardrobe department. And there she was, there's Ginger Rogers.
The Ginger Rogers.
Doing her pilot, right?
Yeah.
So I went over to her and I said, oh my God, I've got to say something to her. So I went over to her and I said, Miss Rogers? And she says, yes. And I said, my name is Cynthia Pepper. I believe you know my father.
You know?
Of course she knew my father. She was married to him.
Yeah.
And she was so sweet. She said, well, how is the dear boy? I said, he's fine. And after that, we became friendly and had lunch at the commissary a number of times. She was very lovely.
You know, it's amazing stories that you have like that. And I just can't get over it. And what I want to do is, yes, we talked about Elvis last time, okay? But we didn't really get into TV. And I know Beverly, you did TV. And let's start with you first, if you don't mind. You were 21 and you got your own TV show.
I got my own TV show. I was doing My Three Sons. That was my first. I did about 11 episodes the first year.
My Three Sons.
I played Tim Considine's girlfriend, Family Next Door. And from that, and I want to say that I worked with Fred McMurray and all the wonderful people, and William Frawley, Fred Mertz.
Yeah.
He was a friend of my daddy's, so I knew that. So we would go to lunch across the street at Desilu in L.A., and he would take my arm, we'd go to lunch, and he liked to nip a little bit, just a little bit. And he'd come home, we'd go into the set, and he'd do his lines fine, and he was wonderful. And from that, I guess I got Margie. I had auditioned for that. I guess they must have seen me, or my agent put my name up for it. It was 200 girls, and I was just newly married at the time. And I was 20, but I was playing 16, I think. And it was from the movie Jane Crane's movie, Margie.
It was such a cute series.
Yeah, it was
really
the 20s, Vodo, which I love the 20s. And so I auditioned, and it took about 2 months, and I got it.
But at 2021, you were the star of the movie.
I was the star.
She was Margie.
I was Margie in First Class this, First Class that, but I didn't see myself as that. I'm like Beverly. I think we grow up in the business and we're just regular people. We just happen to pick the right career. I think that's the way I look at it. And I used to get up at 5 in the morning and do my own hair. And then in West Hollywood, then go over to 20th Century Fox and go to the makeup department. And the lady who did my hair said, Cynthia, why are you doing your hair? You know, I said, well, I didn't want to bother you.
Yeah.
And she said, honey, who are you playing? I said, Margie. She said, what's the name of the show? Margie. He said, don't do you're going to put us out of business. And I said, okay, I won't do it anymore.
And when you did Margie, and I mean, you were Margie.
Yeah.
You was-
Right.
Did you have any say as to who you want as co-stars? And
No.
I don't like this person. I want to work with that. Or wait a minute, this line is stupid. I don't want to say that.
No, I
mean,
would-
I mean, but you look at it and say,
I had a little trouble with my co-star, who I really got along well with, but she was very savvy, and she used to carry handkerchief. And we would, in the show, we were in school, in the show, and she would do this in front of my face because that's what she did. So I finally said, the cinematographer came over to me and said, you've got to not let her do that anymore. And I said, why? Because it's covering your face all the time. I said, oh, she said, it's just a trick. And also, when you walk down the aisle, down the hallway, she always stops a little further back so that you're looking back. She said,
Right.
don't let her do that. I went, oh, I didn't know. And so, I mean, I wasn't that savvy to that.
Right.
So from then on, I heeded his advice.
Right.
And we got along fine. No, there were wonderful people who worked on the show. Dave Willock used to be with Cliff Arquette. And
Okay.
Tommy Ivo played my boyfriend, and he was a champion drag racer. He's a champion. And they wouldn't let him drive when he was doing Margie because of the, insurance.
And all that.
So, no, I had a wonderful time. I had my 21st birthday on the show.
isn't that? I mean, that's something. And again, we spoke about it earlier. You did TV shows. You did Patty Duke, and it's Patty Duke. I mean, there's anybody our age doesn't know who Patty Duke is, and yet you were a guest star. Let's use that term. What was it like?
It was fabulous. She was such a sweet, sweet woman, and it was so sad when she passed away. That was a big loss.
Right.
The first day on the set, I played one of her girlfriends in
Right.
school, and I was outside of the wardrobe trailer. And she came walking up to me, and she said, "Hi, I'm Patty." Like I wouldn't know who she was. It was so cute and humble. And she said, "I'm Patty. Welcome to my show." And I said, "Oh, thank you, Patty. It's such an honor to meet you and work with you." So she said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Well, they're just trying to find me something to wear." So she says, "Come on inside the trailer." So we go inside, and she looks at me, and we're both exactly the same height, like all of 5 feet.
Yeah.
So she turned to the wardrobe lady, and her exact words were, she said, "Hell, she's my size. Give her something of mine to wear." And I was flabbergasted so in that scene that I did with her, I was actually wearing her clothes.
clothing, yeah.
And most actors, they don't want other actors to wear their clothes. But she was so down to earth and so sweet, and I never forgot that. It was just
Oh.
the sweetest thing.
And
That's
something that I don't think I've ever asked you before. Both of you have done movies. Both of you have done TV shows. So it's still the camera, but is it a same kind of situation, or is it unique doing a TV show versus a movie?
Well, it's the time you spend. It's you have the crew and everything, and the director and so forth, the AD. But it's the time. A TV show, we would table read for 2 days, and then we'd block our scene, and then we'd shoot it. And that would take a week, and then you'd have a day off for 2 days, depends on how quick you were. But a movie can go for months, and you do your first scene maybe 2 weeks after you're hired, when you sit around. It's the time. It can be. I don't get bored because I don't get bored anyway.
Yeah.
But I like to go hang out with the crew. So even if I wasn't working, I would hang out with them. But it can be tedious. I mean, as far as the time goes.
And Beverly, how about you?
Same thing. Basically, like if you're doing a series, I've done 2 series, and of course Cindy had her own series. You become like a family because you see the same people, the same cast, the same crew all the time. And if you're just doing a quick TV show, sometimes you're only there a day or 2. And so you come in, you do your job, and you don't always get to hang out with everybody. Whereas like a movie, like such as Old Yeller or The Lone Ranger, those kind of movies, it'll take 3 months. And so you basically, it sounds corny, but you do kind of become a family because it's your family for the 3 months because those are the people that you see on a daily basis and hang out with. And so as Cindy said, it's mainly the time.
Time.
Yeah.
And speaking of family, we mentioned it before. You did the TV show My Three Sons.
Yes.
Now, nobody our age can forget My Three Sons with Fred McMurray. How were you involved? Because you weren't one of the sons, obviously.
Oh no, I read that was a quick show too because I was just I went and met Peter Tewksbury who was directing it and he directed many of the shows, and we just talked in his dressing room, and he said I think we have a family here, so we moved in next door to the Douglases, and then I became Mike's, the oldest boy.
The oldest one, correct.
A girlfriend, and then I left the show. They put me in college to get me off the show, and so, because I was doing my own show. The strange thing about it is Margie was on ABC right after My Three Sons.
Really?
And before The Untouchables, which was a roaring 20s.
Sure.
So it was just kind of strange. And I'm watching My Three Sons now because I'm tape it every morning because I never saw it past a certain time, when
Really?
they went to color. And I love that show. It was one of my first family. And I'm good friends with Barry and Stan Livingston to this day.
And I mean, you got to meet obviously Fred McMurray,
Right.
And
That's funny.
And he was a movie. I'm saying a movie star.
He was a movie star.
But yet he's doing TV. And did he enjoy it? Did he not enjoy it?
He wasn't there a lot. He
wasn't?
did his scenes first in a day, and then And then if you had an over-the-shoulder shot, or something, you're supposed to be talking to him. Mr. Douglas, you're talking to a broom handle
Really?
or the script girl, because he wasn't there. I want to say that it was very nice, very kind. But I really took to William Frawley. He was my guy. I just loved him. And Tramp the dog, of course.
Tramp the dog, yeah.
But with Elvis, he to compare, he was a real pro. He stood next to the camera so that you could talk to him and not someone else, so that it'll be more realistic in the scene. But he was wonderful. I loved My Three Sons. That was my first home.
You enjoyed
Such a
it.
cute
First
show.
home.
And again, with the TV shows that you were involved with, I mean, you were Loretta Young, if I recall. Another star. Did she act like a star? Was she nice to you? Did she brush you off?
She was the best. I just absolutely adored her, and I was blessed because we stayed in touch
Yeah,
throughout.
for years afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, even long after the series was over, and up until the time she passed away.
I mean, again, we're over the time because
Oh.
that's just what we do, and that's all there is to it. Very briefly, then,
Yes.
talk a little bit about your book, and then mention your book.
Oh, my book is Pigtails, Presley, and Pepper, 3 Ps. And I wanted to write it because I want to leave a legacy for my son, who's in Massachusetts, the Berkshires. That's where he lives now, and my only child. And it's a show business book. Of course, Elvis is in it. I've said before it's like from the very beginning, Elvis is in it in some way, and. But it's not an Elvis book because too many people wrote them, and I have my own feelings about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got my sister in it and family, and a cute story with Debbie Reynolds in the back, very end chapter.
It's a really
It's a
good
funny
book.
part of my book.
And if you want to get that book, how do they go about doing
Amazon.
it? Amazon.
Amazon.
And I assume that's the same thing for you with your book.
Same thing, Amazon, and it just recently, in the last week, came out in hardback.
So I'm very lucky to be with two very, very important authors right now. Two besides movie stars. So I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, once again, I have all these questions, and I got through 2 of them this time. So
Oh.
I think by 2025, we'll be up to date on everything. So I thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
being
so
here.
much.
Yeah,
honey.
thank you, Cindy.
Beverly, as always, I
Love you.
thank you. And again, if you need more information about Hollywood Memories, The Vegas Voice, by all means, hit that subscribe button, because the more you hit that button, the better off we are that we can provide these type of segments. So again, ladies, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
And this is
everybody.
Dan Roberts for Hollywood Memories saying we'll see you again next time.